Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Nerdy Multiverse and yet another breakdown. As today we will be breaking down and giving our initial thoughts on episode 3 of the second season of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. Of course, following Daryl Dixon on his journey in France. Now, this season actually has a sort of subtitle to it as well, being the Book of Carol, as now we have both the story of Daryl in France and Carol's story as she journeys there herself looking for Daryl. And eventually, the two will once again be intertwined. Anyways though, this episode is titled La Visible, and excuse my terrible French, but in English the title means The Invisible. And this episode begins with a flashback, as the outbreak is about to begin as we get the very backstory of Madame Janae. We see that she used to work as a janitor at the Louvre Museum. And we can also see that one of the other janitors that worked with her is the same lady, Sabine, that now serves as her second in command. So Madame Janae's claims of her being the security guard for the museum from season 1 were false. We also learn that Janae lost her husband at the very beginning of the outbreak, when the government and the military decided to protect the art and the museum more than the people around it. And when everything fell, her job at the museum got her the chance to actually get the real Mona Lisa painting. And this is of course why she has it in her possession today. Which is where we cut to next, the present day, as Carol, now among the Pauvres, looks over the painting. As Madame Janae walks in and introduces herself to Carol for the very first time. They discuss the meaning of the Mona Lisa painting and whether or not she is sad or smiling. Janae feels like she's finally figured out the painting after all of these years. But their conversation is interrupted by one of Janae's soldiers, who is disregarding and disrespecting one of the workers in the background, which Janae does not tolerate, as she used to be treated the same exact way before the outbreak began. After being assigned their places to work, Carol and Remy follow and look into where a group of survivors being held in cuffs are being taken. They end up seeing them be executed and then injected by one of Janae's scientists, and then turning. Clearly, they are still running the experiments and attempting to make more variant walkers or super walkers. Remy reveals that these experiments and tests are rumored to be where the burners from season 1 came from, explaining that the burners were likely failed experiments that got away and now just roam around France. We then cut to the nest and Sylvie, who is now locked away in a room after she caught Laurent being held in secret by Losang. She ends up getting out, however, and running around the nest looking for Laurent, but to no avail. She gets trapped by some of the guards over a ledge while Losang tries to plead with her. But after she scuffles with the guards who are trying to detain her, she is accidentally thrown over the ledge and killed. Now, I did have a feeling she would end up being killed off, but it's still pretty unfortunate as she was a pretty good character, especially for how little we got of her. Anyways though, clearly you can still tell the difference between Losang and this Jacinta character. Losang seems genuinely hurt and saddened by this, but Jacinta just has that sort of evil look to her. Almost like she's sort of the root of corruption here at the nest. I feel like if Losang does end up dying himself, Jacinta will just take over and start making really bad decisions and getting a lot of people killed. They then begin getting the ceremony ready as Losang prepares Laurent, and then gives him a drink to quote unquote relax him. After a bit, everyone from the nest gathers around the courtyard, and then they bring Laurent out as they speak about this prophecy and how Laurent will bring them a new light as they prove it all here right now. They bring out a walker that they will have Laurent be bit by, to try and prove that he is immune to the bite and bring forth a new age. And this walker is revealed to be none other than Sylvie. But before the ceremony can be completed, of course, Fallou, Isabelle, and Daryl sneak their way back into the nest and then amongst the crowd, as Daryl puts Sylvie down and then they save Laurent. Daryl sends Fallou, Isabelle, and Laurent on their separate way so that they can sneak away while he deals with the guards. But Fallou and Laurent get separated from Isabelle. But those two are able to get away and get to the cave in the woods that Daryl was talking about earlier, which is where him and Laurent secretly were training. We get some absolutely incredible action in a complete one-shot sequence as Daryl just cuts through a ton of the nest guards before he is inevitably caught and surrounded by them. Cutting back to Carol as she joins the other workers from the kitchen to serve food. And when she starts serving food herself, she begins asking everyone around about Daryl Dixon and the American. She of course gets absolutely no answers until she overhears Caudron repeating Dixon's name. He ends up telling her really everything that he can, especially in the state that he is in now, but he also says that she needs to find Daryl first, because if Janae does, Daryl is a dead man. So at nighttime, Carol takes the opportunity to get out of there and start looking for Daryl herself. After saying goodbye to Remy and telling him what she is doing, she knocks out one of the guards and gets on one of the horses and starts riding out. But of course, this was all a setup and she gets caught. Remy ended up snitching on her so that he could free his husband and get freedom, which I honestly doubt they will actually get, as I have a feeling Janae will just have them killed regardless. But anyways, Janae and Carol sit down and Janae tells Carol to stop the lies and tell her why she is actually there and how she got to France in the first place. Now, Carol does tell the truth about how and when she got there, about the plane and how she manipulated Ash. But then she starts the lies and the manipulation once again, as she says that she is actually here and looking for Daryl herself because she wants to kill him. So now, Janae agrees to have her come with her and the convoy as they have discovered the location of the nest, and with that, Daryl as well. So she wants Carol to come with so that Carol can kill Daryl herself. So now, back at the nest itself as Daryl wakes up after being surrounded by the guards. Losang greets him and starts making remarks about how Daryl is a faithless man and only lives for himself, while Losang has to take care of all of these people here and bring hope back with Laurent. Now, obviously, all of this is a bit ironic because in truth, Daryl does not just live for himself, and we all know that, because he has an entire community and tons of people back home in America and at the Commonwealth that he looks after all the time. Isabelle ends up getting captured as well, and the two are held as prisoners in the same room. Now here, Isabelle does end up grabbing a broken part of the drain that she will likely use later on to escape, but she also just seems really hopeless and pretty depressed here. She has Daryl tell her a story, and he tells a story of a man who left home looking for something even though he didn't even know what he was looking for. And then he found himself far, far away from home and no way back. But then something changed. Obviously, he is telling a story about himself and his journey to France while he was out looking for Rick. And then how he met Laurent and Isabelle. and that being that change. She ends up telling him that she loves him. Now, unfortunately, with how things are going, I've got a big feeling that Isabelle is going to end up dying soon as well, which will, of course, likely set Daryl off, as he has grown to care about her a lot. Losang ends up walking in and taking Isabelle away, leaving Daryl behind, still cuffed up as a prisoner. Madame Janae, Carol, and the rest of the convoy arrive just outside the perimeter of the nest as they prepare their attack, where Janae gives a speech to a large group of completely unarmed soldiers, which is where Carol finally understands what's actually going on as she sees the same scientist preparing more syringes. The realization comes in that Janae is going to kill all of these soldiers and then turn them into super walkers and use them to attack the nest, including Carol now, as she has Carol put amongst the crowd, as she says that she is going to give her what she wants. Now, she will kill Daryl herself. As they prepare to gun down the crowd, the episode ends off. And overall, I thought that this was another pretty good episode for this second season. I really liked all of the action in this one, although it was pretty sad to see Sylvie go, but as I said previously, I had a feeling a few of these newer characters were going to be killed off. And I don't think Sylvie is the end of it yet, unfortunately. I definitely think that the reunion between Daryl and Carol is literally right around the corner now, that they are so close. And I cannot wait to see them together again and see just how they catch up after all of this time. This was by far my favorite episode of this season so far. But anyways, I really enjoyed this one, and I think I would give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. And I cannot wait for episode 4 next week. I honestly can't believe we are already halfway through this season though. I definitely do wish there were more than 6 episodes. But yeah, that about does it for this episode, from me at least. But of course, I would like to hear your thoughts on it as well, so make sure to leave them down below. Anyways though, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed our breakdown and review on this episode, feel free to give it a like. And with that being said, we will see you all the next time that we go through and explore the nerdy multiverse.